Hey guys, this is Nick here with another Nick's Collectables. This time we're going to go ahead and look at X-Transbots Master Mini Series Neptune. I saw this guy online, and he's kind of been out for a while, but I never picked him up. I realized he had a couple really cool gimmicks, and I was always kind of a fan of Seaspray anyway. And my big holdup was I was just never sure which one I wanted to buy. So I went ahead and pulled the trigger on this one because he seemed to be the closest to the Gen 1 aesthetic that I'm fond of. And he had a couple of really cool accessories I was kind of excited to check out. So if you go ahead and pick him up and kind of take a look at the box here, you can see he's listed as MMXII Naval Defense Neptune. If you turn the box on its side a little bit on it, you can see that they basically got him in robot mode on it. On the top, it's just got Neptune here. On the side, it's got him in his vehicle mode here. And then if you flip him around to the back, you can see they've got like an old school stack card on it, which these things used to come with like little bitty red strips so that the peaks and all that would show up better. They didn't really do that here. The depiction basically reads, what would an ocean be without a monster lurking in the dark? It would be like sleep without dreams. Neptune respects the sea above all else. His affection for its majesty and all its living creatures has no bounds. He's consistently on patrol, extracting threats, pausing only to receive mission updates. Though usually jovial, the constant barrage of pollution in the oceans weighs heavily on his mind. On land, Neptune is quite slow and clumsy. However, when necessary, his combat skills have no equal in the open sea. On the rare occasion that he goes to get a break, he spends his time playing or contemplating life with his friend Arcrose. Neptune once fell for a mermaid, but it didn't work out. That's just kind of a reference out to one of the episodes where he literally did fall in love with a mermaid and kind of turned to a part human thing. It was a very, very strange episode. Arcrose being a reference to X-Transbots Beachcomber, whom I also have and may do some comparison shots with. But we're going to go ahead and move this to the side here, and I'm going to show you him and some of his accessories. So hang tight. So here he is out of the box. You can tell just by looking at him from the front, he's kind of got like a little bit of a two-tone thing going on here. It's not too bad. It doesn't really detract much from the figure, particularly when you look at all the nice details as you go up through here. If you turn him around to the side, you can see he's got more detailing here, right where his arms kind of meet his legs, which is what I'm going to assume. You can see the propellers are right here and everything like that. If you turn him around a little bit more, you can see he's got a little hook here, which is where one of his first accessories kind of comes in. He has this piece right here, which allows Bumblebee to ski behind him, which I think is actually kind of cool. It's got a little hook there that you can kind of pin in there. You can kind of see a little bit where his head is just between the propellers, and you can kind of see the shoulders here. If you turn him around, you've kind of got much the same here. You've got like a little cannon here, which it actually does move up a little bit on it so he can fire and things like that, which I think is pretty slick. Overall, I think his vehicle mode is actually quite cool on it. Moving on from him, we've got a couple accessories here. We've got a big old pair of skis here. You've got two of these so that you can have Bumblebee ski behind him using the rope that I showed you before. He's got a little beach ball thing here that rolls around quite nicely on it that he can kind of hold on to. He's actually got a little pail and a spade and everything like that for hanging out at the beach on it. He's got his rifle here, which is in the same kind of bluish color, which I think actually looks pretty nice. I wouldn't have minded if they had made this more of a silver or a gray. However, I think the blue will look particularly nice as well, so it doesn't really concern me too much on it. Another piece you have here is like some kind of wave effects for the skis, I can only assume. He has an alternate face right here so that he has kind of like an eye guard on there to where you can't actually see his eyes. He actually has this little piece here that I can only assume is another piece for his eyes so he can sort of like blush or something like he did in the cartoon. That's sort of what I'm assuming that that's for, because he had one scene where he was with a mermaid on it and she like kissed him and he blushed or something like that. I'm assuming that's it. I may or may not get this in because it requires you kind of unscrew something in order to be able to get to that. On top of that, you actually have his stock card, which I think actually looks pretty nice as well. It's got a little bit better diagram of his actual stats as opposed to the one that comes on the back of the box, and it's got the same kind of description that was on the back of the box that I read off earlier. The other thing that he has is an actual decent manual. This is probably one of the better manuals that I've actually seen. As you open it up, it'll show you pretty well detailed instructions on it. So this may actually be one of the tons where I actually recommend that you kind of look at the instructions as opposed to, you know, basically just chucking them out and waiting for somebody else to transform him to kind of walk you through parts. Because this is actually really well detailed. So this actually may be one of the first manuals that I have seen that actually could really help you do the transformation pretty easily. This is much better than what I've seen from Hasbro and Takara lately on it. Everything's just in Japanese and it folds out and it's not very compact and it's not very convenient. This is quite convenient. It's nice. It's a nice size. It has great art look on it. The card stock on it, the actual paper stock is really good. So I'm actually kind of impressed with this. This is nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pause, and I'm going to kind of go through his transformation a little bit. And we'll go ahead and go through that, and then we'll go through how he looks in robot mode, compare him with a couple other figures on it and things like that. So you guys can kind of get a feel for, you know, how he is, and maybe you want to invest some money into him and have him on your shelf. So far, I am pretty happy with him, but we're going to see how he turns out as he comes along. So, hang tight. Okay, so before we go ahead and get into his transformation, I thought I'd show you a little something here. These I was a little wrong on. As I looked down a little bit more closely, they actually just peg down here on the bottom to kind of give him that kind of cool wave effect as he's kind of going through the water. These actually work on him in bot mode as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pop these off. They just kind of snap off like that. And then go ahead and kind of get started on his transformation. He is not too bad to transform. I may need to give myself some room here and there just to kind of be able to work with him. But we're going to try this from here. So the first thing you can do is you can just kind of spread him out like that. That'll kind of open up his hips and his feet. And then you can go ahead and see his hands are right here, right? So if you take him and then you separate these like this, one of the things you can do is you can go ahead and start loosening this up a little bit so that you can get some of these pieces separated. Now this just kind of goes down. It's a little stiff, especially on mine. Let me slide this out a little more. There we go. Once it's slid out all the way, that'll just kind of drop down like that. Then you can just kind of lift that up. If you rotate this around here, you can see that this will just drop in here a little bit like that. But before you do that fully, what you want to do is you want to take this part right here and you want to just kind of flip it around like that and snap it right in there. And then this will just drop right in there. And that pretty much completes his feet. That's one of his feet done already. So you can see from there, it actually looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and do this side here. Let's go ahead and just pull this out a little bit more. Go ahead and drop that in. Lift this up. And then we're going to go ahead and work this piece here loose. Now move that and then work this loose and then spin it around, snap it right in there, and then this will just come down like that. And you guys' feet done right there. So the main thing that you want to do at this point is you want to go ahead and work on his upper body, which I'm going to go ahead and move my camera a little bit more so you can kind of see this a little better. So give me just a moment here. Okay, that ought to give me enough room to kind of work on his upper torso. So these just kind of lift up like this, and then this will just kind of rotate up like that. That pretty much starts to get his head to where you can see it. This can kind of go up like that, and then this whole piece lifts up and rotates around like that. That way you can put an Autobot symbol here, which he doesn't have currently. These two little pieces just kind of push in, and if you can kind of see, if I pull this out, you can see he's got like a little space in there where they go. And then this just kind of gets pushed in like that, right? That kind of narrows his chest a little bit, and then this just rotates around like that. Okay, so we've already got him most of the way done, if I'm honest. The next part you want to do is you want to go back here, and then you want to take these and pull these tabs out like that. And then you want to rotate those down, because what they do is they snap right in here where these little white pieces are right here. That'll just go in like that and like that. And that pretty much gets his upper body mostly where you want it. I'm going to try to get his feet a little more stable. He's a little off kilter. But the next thing you want to do is you want to rotate this around like this. And then you want to take these right here, and then you want to move those up. You can just spin that around like that. Get that realigned. So I'm going to do the same thing here. We're going to move that up like that. We're going to move this like that. And there you go. He is pretty much transformed at this point. That's it. That's Seaspray. He's a pretty quick transformation. He's a pretty fun transformation. One of the things I like to do is I like to move the hips up like that and then rotate it down. I feel like that looks better and it's a little more stable. But overall, I think he's a pretty great looking little Seaspray. I think he's got good detailing here. I think his arms look good. Go and rotate his hands around. That way you can actually use them. And then I don't know what I've done to his foot. I've done something bad. There we go. It's got him a little more height. He's a little more even now. That's the thing about the third-party figures. The joints aren't normally as good as the first-party figures, so they tend to suffer a little bit overall as a result. But, I mean, he holds his gun pretty good. You can see here, he doesn't really have any kind of pegs, but so long as you've got the hand closed, he'll be able to hold his gun just fine. His head kind of goes up, it rotates around like so. His arms will kind of do a 360. They'll also come all the way out like so. His legs will come out like this, and then they come up, and he can go way on back here, or he can come way up here. So he's got really good movability and posability as far as figure goes. I think he looks really, really good. I think he's really true to the actual G1 aspect of the figure on it. So I think overall it's a very good looking figure for your money. Like I said, I know he's not really all that new. He has been out for a while, so he's pretty well reviewed. Hopefully you guys got a pretty good aspect from my point of view as far as how I feel about him on it. If you'll give me just a minute, put him next to Arcros, who's one of his companion figures. And you can see he's a little bit taller than him, mostly because of the fins, and he just stands a little bit more proportionally taller than him. But overall, I think they look pretty good together as far as the crew goes. And if you've seen some of my reviews before, you know how good Arcros actually looks with a lot of the rest of the normal Masterpiece line. He looks great with Hound, he looks great with MP44. I imagine Seaspray's going to look just as good with the rest of them as he does with his cohort here from X-Transbots. So if you're looking for like another figure in your line to kind of fill in some of the gaps from some of the mini bots from the series that you were never able to find a masterpiece version of, I honestly think he's probably one of the best of the third-party ones that's out there. He has a lot better articulation and look on the arms and the legs than some of the others. Some of them have too many pipes and too much kibble on them, and I just don't think they look as good. I think he looks particularly great. He tends to hold his weight really well. He's got good posability. He's got a good aesthetic going for him overall. So I would recommend him, honestly, if you were to pick up a figure. I think he's a very, very good figure. One other thing with him is this part right here will come off. And then that's how you can actually put this other face on. You take that off, and then he comes with a small screwdriver that you unscrew from the back there, and then this whole front plate will come off. And then you can put this one on, and you can screw it on if you'd rather he have the more toy accurate face. Now, I prefer this one myself. I think it's more in line with a cartoon. The only thing that I might do is occasionally is I might put this on, because that gives him his kind of red blushing face that you can do with him, like from the cartoon. I think that might look neat in certain scenarios, but overall, I think he just looks great the way he is. I'm looking forward to getting him on my shelf and putting him with the rest of my guys. I hope you guys got some good information out of this. I hope you had fun watching it, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Later.